Welcome to the Premium Life podcast with the team from Simplicity UFC. Hosting this podcast is Vince Munno. I'm your producer, RJ Malik. Vince, good to see you, and how you doing today?
I'm doing good, RJ. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and I'm looking forward to what you've got lined up on the Premium Life podcast. So why don't you introduce your guest and then tell us what you'll be talking about on this edition of your podcast?
Well, I'd like to introduce Jacob Brigati. I call him Jake because that's what his father calls him, and I like to act like a fatherly figure to him in our business. And I'm really proud to introduce him because he's doing a great job. And what we're going to talk about today is what's the psychology of working with some of these bigger clients? All the advisors out there want to get the bigger deals. Not all of them really understand the psychology of the customers. They don't understand what the customer's needs are or how to address them. And Jake's been working with me for 3 years, going on 4 years, and he's doing a great job. So I thought, what better opportunity, instead of hearing from somebody who's been in the business for 40 years or 50 years, hear from somebody who's young in the business and having tremendous success. So that's why I'm happy to have him here today, sharing his success and how he is having the conversations with the right advisors, with the right clients.
Awesome. So Vince, thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be on here. So I guess to that point, Vince, everyone has a different way of doing business. And there's so many different ways of doing it, right? It's not one size fits all there. For me, and what's worked with me is I'm a relationship type business person. So with bringing on these top producers, they have to know that you're going to go the extra mile for every single one of them at every time. And, my producers know that. And I try and be best friends with my producers. So I'm talking to them every single day. We talk on weekends. So on a Saturday or Sunday, we're talking about what we did the weekend, and then we talk about what we're planning on for the week. Okay. So I think that's, in this industry is what separates from good to being a fantastic, friend, mentor, and, relationship type person to build your practice like that. Yeah.
Hey, Jake, before we even get into because definitely a relationship business, and these high net worth guys, we know they need a lot of extra attention. They expect extra attention, right? So,
Yeah.
but let's talk about this for just 1 second, just to give people a little background of you. How did you join UFC, Simplicity UFC? Like, give them a little bit of your background, how we met, your family situation a little bit, your schooling, and then
Yeah.
how you came over here and how old you were when you first joined.
All right. Good question. So, everyone always asks because, the way that we get into it, like you always get on a conversation and you want to tell your story. So my story started, my family, or I'm fifth generation, with my family business. We own a farm/zoo in New York. We're one of the oldest farms in New York, started in 1886. And my whole family's been working there for years, right? They had some problems with the estate planning side where my dad's dad only had a will. So the way I got introduced to Vince was through my parents reaching out. They reached out to one of the local banks and they said, well, hey, who's a guy that you'd recommend that can do this insurance strategy where there's a big bank that finances it? So the bank actually sent us Vince Munno, his contact information. So we ended up getting on a call with Vince, going through the estate planning side and the premium financing side. Okay. Now, with that being said, I was the trustee on all of their estate plans because I was living and going to University of Tampa at the time. So I was always going back and forth to, Vince's office here in Clearwater, our different office, a little smaller, right up the road, and signing all the documents as trustee. Now, I had no idea what I was signing at the time, which was funny. Vince is explaining, it's like, hey, sign here. Obviously it's a relationship business and I trusted him. So we were signing everything. Then I was actually on a call with Vince. My dad was going through just a basic planning, and I asked Vince for an internship after everything got, finished up on their end. So I ended up getting, connected with UFC at the time, now Simplicity UFC, to start off as an intern, right? Worked here for a few years. I was 21 years old at the time, just super new to the business. I had no idea what I was doing. And Vince, last year, I mean, we did over $5.5 million of target with my producers. And, going on the last year and a half, it's almost 10 million. So when we talk these deals, I always go into my family situation because at the bottom line, you're going to be positioning, what you've done personally. And that's kind of how I sell. And I talk to my advisors to sell on the same basis. Does that, answer that on the intro, Vince?
Yeah, that's good. But also too, like when you got in the business, because we started on both sides. We started like see more people on the annuity side, work the bigger deals. What made you gravitate toward the bigger deals, or I guess because you got to get excited, you got to be motivated, and you got to have that discipline. You got to really like what you do. What do you like about the big deals that you're working with? And then we're going to talk about the psychology of some of these client meetings that we have.
Yeah, so that's a good question because I think, like you said, I mean, you got to really like what you do. I like personally dealing with business owners and protecting what they've built, right? Everyone, like you always say, this on every single meeting. You spent 30, 40 years building up what you have now, but now you got to protect what you built. And I like dealing with the business owner clients because they're more entrepreneurial, right? They're doing these deals, which is kind of in the mindset that I'm in, where I want to be, an entrepreneur on my end, where I'm doing different types of real estate and all these investments. And I think that's the same mindset as a lot of our clients. So it resonates with them. The annuity side's great, but it's a little bit of a different market. So from what I've seen, there's different advisors that do a lot on the premium financing and insurance side to the annuity side. And I think when I started getting some traction, some serious traction on the premium financing and insurance and estate planning, obviously, I kind of just gravitated more towards starting the conversations around that.
Do you think some of it might have to do with your own personal experience, knowing that the challenge that your parents had, your father and your uncles had with the farm, and knowing what we could do to help them, that we could really make a difference in protecting what they built? That gave you a little extra motivation, or is it just because you like making the bigger deals?
Well, I
Or
think it's
probably
both.
both.
I don't yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it's all one thing. I mean, I think my family situation definitely shaped that a little more, because I'm gonna be a little biased, right? I'm gonna position the same thing I've done with my family because I think they have a bulletproof plan, with the attorney, the irrevocable trust, all the gifting that we've done. But it's also like you said, I mean, I like doing the bigger deals. They get me excited. They're all needle movers and they get the advisors excited because when they close $1 million deal, they're going to be your best friend.
Jake, you just said something big, and I just want to put in perspective to people. We close big deals all the time. And it's because we're working with bigger clients, and bigger clients have bigger problems. So they have to write bigger checks. And it's a lot easier when the bank writes a check for them to write it themselves. The, but what do you think, what do you think is the difference with these affluent clients that makes them different, or drives them in their decision-making process? Because we've been on a lot of joint calls together. I just want to hear your perspective of why these clients are buying our story, or what do you think they like about what we do compared to maybe the average guy that's trying to sell them something where it's not using the bank financing or leverage financing? Any
Yeah,
perspective on that?
I mean, I really think the numbers sell themselves, Vince, right? When you come down to it, we always point out the problem. It's, you have either an estate tax problem or, whatever their problem is, right? Liquidity, maybe they have their personal loans with personal guarantees on them, and this is to cover estate taxes. And then the solution is to have a bank finance it. Because, we always say to all of our advisors and clients, we're getting charged 5.5% interest rates today. If you think you can make 5.5% or more on your own deals, why don't you have the bank finance it for you? And you pay the interest payment, which we're always conservative with our numbers that we show. And now you're retaining all the investment money and putting it back in your own deals. So all of our, clients that we're talking to, I mean, this, we see every single day. And Vince and I are probably on 3 to 4 calls a day, every single day, just new clients and new opportunities. And a lot of our clients are saying they make 20% plus on their own investments. There was a guy that said last week, Vince, remember he said 60%.
Yeah.
So he was telling us he makes 60% on his own investments. So we told him, we said, if you think you can make 60, why don't you have the bank put the money in for you? You need the insurance anyway. It kind of sells itself. And these clients are from a different perspective and mindset because they're all business owners and entrepreneurial type personnel.
What I notice is a lot of these people, they don't have a lot of liquidity because every time they get $1 million, they're looking for the next deal, the next opportunity. That's why they have 50 million or 100 million, whatever they have. Um, let me ask you this question because it's a different side of the equation. What do you think is the most common pitfall? What do you think kills these big deals that we work on? I mean, I know, but just to tell the audience what you think from your perspective, why some of these big transactions, they look like they're going so well, then at the end, they just don't go through.
That's a great question. And from what we see, Vince, every single day, you need to get ahead of the collateral. That's the big issue, like you said. All of these real estate clients and entrepreneurial business owner clients, they're not putting millions of dollars in the market from what we've seen. Maybe some of them do, but that's a one-off type client. You need to get ahead of the collateral, know what it is going into the deal. So they know, hey, I have $1 million in collateral that I need. Here's how I'm gonna here's how I'm gonna solve that. Whether it's a letter of credit, we get aligned in a letter, brokerage account, CD, money market. We have so many different ways of solving that, but it's really getting ahead of the curve and knowing what it is up front.
So, Jake,
Okay.
a lot of advisors, I know when I talk to them, they're like, I just don't have those kind of clients, or, uh, you know, I don't really know what to say to them, or they just don't feel comfortable, having the right mindset. When I know when you first came in, we were kind of treading both sides, the marketing advisors to millions, see more people, and close bigger deals. What was the moment when you realized that you wanted to focus just on closing the bigger deals? Was there like a time where you said, this is it? Like, I feel comfortable going after these people, or this is all I want to do. Because I remember sometimes you would bring guys to me that were doing the seminars or something. You said, Vince, this guy just doesn't get it, or I don't want to waste my time working with people that don't understand, what we're trying to tell them. Um, is any thoughts there that you want to share that maybe other
Yeah.
guys can relate to
So
your experience?
honestly, Vince, I mean, it was that big foreign national deal. I think kind of put me over the edge. We did $60 million out of foreign national, and the commission was over $2 million. I got
So when you
so
close, that would get anybody
yeah,
excited. So the
yeah, it got me
advisor made
really
over 2 million.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So the advisor made over $2 million on a $60 million transaction. I know the advisor loves you. You gave him white glove treatment the whole time, and he always every time I get on the phone with him, he's always making a point to compliment you and give you praise and tell me how lucky I am to have you on board. Um, so you really think that was the fact that he had that big success story that it made you believe more?
Yeah, I think so because I think, like you said, I mean, this is all a momentum game, Vince. When you get good momentum, you keep everything going. And it's just like the business world too, right? It's going to come in waves. And I think that kind of put me ahead where now I could talk to an advisor and I tell my story and I say, I helped a guy close a $2.4 million commission deal. And I'm not lying, right? I tell him this is how we did it. I did everything on, the banking side. We're working with the banks. We're going back and forth there. The insurance side of working with the reinsurers and all these different companies with that. And there's a lot of complexities with these deals, but now I can relay that over to many different advisors. And that really shaped my business to kind of the way it is today. And
Got it.
from then till
Yeah.
now, we've closed multiple $1 million plus targets with another one that was almost 2 million. And I mean, some of the deals we're working on getting in right now too. $100 million deal. There was $130 million deal. So we're talking these big numbers, and we really started to get the right people excited. Where now we're getting more of those to the table.
So I would say, it's consistency, discipline, believing that you can really help these people with a solution that they're probably not hearing from other people. Um, the fact too that we have over 45 people in our back office, so it's not just Jake or me. There's a whole team of people behind us, um, and really, like I said, just getting people believing in it. There's and then looking for the opportunities. I know Tony Robbins. I like this quote that he likes to do, or this saying. He tells people to look around the room and pick all the colors that you see are blue and close your eyes. He hesitates. And he says, "Now tell me everything you've seen that was green." And the point of that story is, if you're not looking for the big cases and you don't have a good story to tell those people, you're probably not going to see them because you're not looking for them. So let me ask you another, like, switching directions to the customer now, Jake.
Yeah.
Like you said, we talk to a lot of these people. Why do you think it's important to position our solution or a solution that enhances their lifestyle rather than just a product? Because I know, being in this space for a long time, premium financing, there's a lot of people or advisors just want to show the numbers, but they don't really get into how that enhances the lifestyle of the consumer, the person that's actually doing the transaction. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, Vince, this is a industry where you need to build up rapport with these clients. And like what we do when we work with, all of these Indian hotel owners and family office clients and even advisors clients too, we're building a relationship with them through estate planning and getting all their documents in order and making their lives easier up front, right? And then we get into the solution, right? I don't think that you can just say premium financing is a one size fit all. It has to be the right client that we're seeing. And you need to know the client first. So when we get all the estate planning done, we always ask for like personal financial statements and all that. So now we know what their situation entails and we can back into, the numbers of here's a solution to solve X, right? Whether it's estate taxes, it's liquidity issues, and all of the above. So I think you need to start with just the basics and then get a little more advanced as you continue your conversations. Um, and we're not just insurance salesmen, right? Just doing that. We're really planners where we're planning out their future, getting everything in order and protecting, like I said, their family and what they've built for the
Yeah,
client.
so I always say that it's the emotion of love, right? That they got to love their families, they got to love their kids, and then they have to love the idea of protecting what they love is usually their business. And like we say, like, people spend a lifetime building something, but they won't spend 8 to 10 hours protecting it, and their families are going to lose 30, 40% of everything they built just to take the, to not procrastinate and to put the plan together. Okay, so what do you think an advisor can do to create a sense of urgency to help some of these clients move without pressuring them? Because a lot of times, we're asking clients, we're pressuring the advisors to get us on these calls and let us be the person to help with the sale and move things along. You think that's what they need to do, or what do you think they need to do to create a sense of urgency?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Vince. And I think it all comes down to, kind of knowing your strengths and weaknesses, right? With you, for example, you've been in the business for, I know you always say 43 years. You've been doing this every single day, right? And I mimic exactly what you do because, I see your habits and your discipline and how you get on these calls and how you're positioning, you know, all the estate planning and everything. And I just mimic that, when I talk to a client. And I think from the advisor perspective, there's no harm, no foul in getting someone like you involved in every one of these transactions because you've only made probably a few thousand presentations to new clients, just like the one that they're seeing right there. And this is the first time they've really gone through this whole process. So I think, to that point, when they're going through the banking side and all that, these advisors don't really understand it like the back of their hand, like you do. And then I'm getting there. Uh, so right when a client will stump you, on a question that you don't know, it's an immediate credibility drop. So the experts involved and let us help shepherd this thing from start to finish. And then even on the renewals and the review calls, get us involved too, because we want to make sure that your client's happy every single year from the year you sold it.
So maybe a strategy for the advisors is don't put the pressure on the customer to close the deal or to get them to take action. Or I guess maybe the only action they need to take is trying to get them leverage off of us and our team of people that we have here, and let us help them. We're not going to pressure anybody either, by the way, but we're going to help you in that process. So
And
leverage is like leverage, and then and use other people that have the experience to help help them along. Is what you're saying, I guess.
And yeah, and Vince, to that point too, I always like to tell my advisors, listen, I want you to be on the client side, where when you position this strategy to them, say, hey, I heard of a real unique strategy where we have big banks that will finance your irrevocable trust for you. And I immediately thought about you and wanted to introduce you to these guys. And my advisors will ask questions to us like they're on the client's side because they are, right? They're representing the client and they're seeing if it's the right fit for the client. So I think when, they're on the same side as a client moving towards the same goal and we're the experts that are filling that gap, I think it makes a substantial difference with getting these deals in every single day.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I would agree. Jake, just before I get to the next question, tell them about the deal we did in January where there was an estate plan for an attorney. Now, imagine setting up an estate plan for an attorney and getting him to get a bank to fund his irrevocable trust. So these no dummy guy was worth probably $150 million or more. Uh, what did the advisor make on that case?
Yeah, that advisor, and he's a great guy. I mean, I really just talking about relationships. I mean, I love working with him because he is so on the game. He's a really good guy, genuine, and the client sees that too. But we set up this deal for this client, and he made almost $2 million on that one deal right in January, and it was the best thing for the client too. The client was pumped to get everything done, and the client also refers us a ton of deals too because he's like on our side. Now he's like, "Hey guys, you really helped me out here, and I think you could help my friends too."
That's very common, by the way. When you get one of these big deals with one of these high net worth celebrity type guys, they're so anxious to share their story with their friends and colleagues. Like, hey, look what I did. You should be doing the same thing. Or, look what you missed out on that I did that. I'm a little smarter than you. So it's kind of like it's contagious when you start for referrals. When you help the right people, they want to share their success or their stories with people that they know. And, and those are the best opportunities to work, are those warm referrals from happy customers. Um, and just to conclude things, we talk about trust, we talk about relationships, we talk, our business is solving problems. We're just going after the bigger clients with bigger problems that write bigger checks. And but what do you think the framework? I mean, and I know what the answer could be, but I want you to share with the audience. What's the framework that builds the trust? Like, what's the foundation to get the clients interested and taking action? Like, share with them our process on those first interviews.
Yeah, so not to that point, Vince. We always go through a needs basis, right? It's not us trying to position something that we want to sell them. It's always a needs basis for the clients. So we have a specialized landing page that goes through some of the pain points, if this is answering your question,
Yeah.
on the estate tax estimator, the debt clock, how the country's out of control with their spending, where we're creating tax-free dollars for these clients with the bank's money, and they're leveraging their current assets and what they have, built today. So it's all a needs basis, and it's got to make sense for the right client. I mean, if the client doesn't think they're making 5.5% or more on their own investments, then I would say not, don't do this deal.
I would
So
also just add to that the foundational planning, because all these high net worth people we talk to, probably 70% of them have done nothing when it comes to just your basic living trust, power of attorneys, living wills, healthcare surrogates, just that foundational planning. So in the law of reciprocity, when we're able to help them with that foundational planning, that helps build that relationship that Jake keeps talking about. And then it leads into the needs and what's important to them about their money, what keeps them up at night, the kids that they're worried about spending too much money or having the money ruin the kids possibly, or paying off some debt that they may have with, personal guarantees if they pass away. So there's always got to be a need, but sometimes people aren't as quick to open up with their needs. They're a little more guarded, especially when they have, good estates. So what we build trust with is using living trust. And we have a special relationship with a handful of attorneys where we can do a turnkey trust program for a very competitive price, all the way to somebody that works with billionaires and does the discounting and the grats and the promissory notes and all that kind of stuff for more of that advanced planning. So I think for people, if you don't have a good foundational knowledge on basic estate planning, get some books, audio books, start listening, start learning. And that opens up the conversation for these bigger opportunities.
All right. Vince, I want to wrap up with one point and then you can get into it if that's okay.
Yeah.
So, Vince, to wrap it up, right? I think if you're an advisor that has clients that are worth 10 million or more, let us help you out and at least do an intro call. I mean, currently right now in underwriting, I have almost $500 million of death benefits pending, just in underwriting. And that's besides some of the deals I was saying earlier. So we have a turnkey process where we can make it real easy from start to finish for both the client, doing the right thing for the client, and also the advisor. So let us help you help the client do the right thing for them, starting with the basics, then getting to more of the advanced planning. So we're here for you. I mean, we're always happy to help. Vince and I are, trying to be like a support system for bigger advisors, bigger groups that want to tell this, the right story. So,
and just to add to that, our whole theme behind our planning is the premium life. And we call it the Premium Life Plus, this strategy. And our goal and what gets us excited is when we can make a difference in your life, give you that premium life by helping your clients maintain their premium life and having generational premium life for their kids and their grandkids. So with that, I want to thank everybody for signing in, and we'll keep you posted for our next webcast, or don't forget to call us, or whatever the conclusion is, RJ. I don't know how we finish it up.
No problem, Vince.
Right.
What we'll do is, Jacob, why don't you give us some contact information?
Yeah, so my phone number is 727-390-4099. And my email is firstname.lastname Jacob.Brigati, Brigati @simplicitygroup.com.
Excellent.
And again, we're always happy to help. So let us know how we can at least start the conversation.
And Vince, your contact info.
Vincent with ENT at the end, Vincent.Munno, MUNNO, @simplicitygroup.com. And again, I would just add to what Jacob said, what gets us the most excited when we can get you excited. So we appreciate the opportunity, and we look forward to hearing from the different listeners when you have the opportunity. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Gentlemen,
Yeah.
Sounded great. And most importantly, thank you for listening to the Premium Life Podcast with the team from Simplicity UFC. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, please click the subscribe button below. This way, when the team comes out with a new podcast, it will show up directly on your listening device. And we humbly ask you to share this podcast, rate it, and leave a review, because this actually helps others find the show. Again, thank you for listening. And for everyone at Simplicity UFC, I'm RJ Malik, and we hope you'll join us for the next Premium Life Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Premium Life Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode packed with strategies and stories designed to help you grow your practice and create lasting impact. To learn more and connect with Vince, visit simplicityufc.com. Remember, relationships and integrity are the foundation of everything. Protect what you've built, think bigger, and keep creating your premium life. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.